Good morning. It is Friday, 9 a.m. in windy Wellington in New Zealand, and today we're going to be looking at Webflow templates. Give me a thumbs up or some sort of emoji or reaction to let me know that you can hear me okay, and I'll get straight into it. I see a yes, so maybe we're good to go. So there's a bit of an agenda that I'm going to go through, and I'll try to answer any questions along the way. Feel free to leave it in chat, and I'll just get to that as soon as I can. But roughly what we're going to look at, what I'm going to cover is the template that I'm currently working on, which is this one that we're looking at, the process that I've gone through so far for this one, and then we'll also run through the template design application, so everything that you actually need to know to apply to become a Webflow template designer. And then once we've looked at that, I'll answer any other questions that we have. I'm planning to go for an hour, so if we get through all of that, I'll probably just keep building the template, and we can just kind of hang out and see how it goes. Thank you all for tuning in. Abdul, Omkar, I'm probably going to say names wrong, I'm really sorry. Kim, Ahmed, Rock and Roll CEO, wonderful name. Cool, let's jump into it. Right, so if we can see my tab okay, this is the template that I'm currently working on, Fold Folio. And so, yeah, this is kind of another creative portfolio that I've been working on, kind of going for a kind of tabbed effect. So let's start back from the start of the process of building it. So let's go into Figma and go through all the stages that we went to actually get to the template where it is, and then I'll talk about what next steps are for the template. And so here's my kind of mood board of kind of what I wanted to do for the template. And so you can see kind of some colors going on, some layout ideas. I really liked this kind of tabbed effect, like a folder, kind of filing through the folders. Hello, Saber, Brian, Ayush. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. So yeah, so started with a kind of just a couple of bits of inspiration, some different ideas, and then from there took that and kind of tried some different variations. And so I started off just by building on top of the Typefolio template, which I've previously done, and using that just as a base, because again, it's we're doing a portfolio here, so it's the same kind of information. And so I tried out a couple of different ideas, kind of tabs on the bottom, tabs on the side, then kind of big tabs, and then kind of the different tabs becoming the page and becoming different colors. Abdul, I will definitely get to sales stats at the end. Cool, so that was like the first step, trying out some ideas, the same kind of thing that you do when you start a client project probably. You just play around, see what works. And then from that, kind of developed more of a plan of this is what I want to go for. So I did two different kinds of color palettes, one that's a little bit lighter, brighter, and then one that's a little bit more subtle, less saturated, and then I decided which one to go for from there. And then the only other thing that I have in my Figma template is my submit images, which are currently empty because my template's not done yet, and that's to actually submit it through to the portal, so that everything's good to go when the actual template gets posted. And also just the little favicons, and that's also another one for posting. And so that is everything in Figma. I'll usually jump back and forth in Figma, try out new ideas as I build out the template. And if we jump back into Webflow, then I started building out what I had based off of, again, a previous template. And the reason that we're not doing it from scratch is because a lot of the pages are going to be the same, so style guide, licenses, instructions. Those are the pages that have to be on every template. So it's actually essential for those guys to be on every template. And so if you're doing your first template, obviously you can start from scratch. You just got to keep in mind some of the admin pages that you're going to need once it actually goes live. And so, yeah, built it out. Couple of effects going on. Obviously, project grid, the same kind of thing that you would see in a portfolio, footer, and then the different pages. And so I've done some of the pages. I've barely started on some of them, I think. Contact needs a lot of work. A lot of them need a lot of work. So from here, all I do, I go through each page. I add in new sections. I try and figure out what people are actually going to want in their portfolio. And again, like nothing should be designed in a vacuum. So it's handy to go back and look at other people's templates, other people's websites and stuff. Typewolf is a great website for design inspiration. Obviously, so is Awards, Dribble, all of those great websites. Yeah, build out all the pages, adapt it down for the different screen sizes. So here I've kind of done the menu coming up rather than to the side, and even that still needs a bit of work. And so that's my template so far. Let me know if there's any questions on this template, a template that you're trying to work on, or yeah, anything else about building the templates inside of Webflow. I was going to quickly now look through the template designer application, which is what you need to go through to actually start submitting templates. And so there's a couple of things you have to keep in mind in terms of requirements. Obviously, you don't want a broken template. It's not going to be using the client first system, so the kind of thin suite system isn't viable for templates. They try and make the classes as kind of simple to understand as possible. So client first is great when you kind of already know the basic principles, but the way that the templates are built is from someone who's maybe just using Webflow for the first time, and so wants to be able to pick it up really easily. So basically all capitals, clearly kind of stating what the actual thing is. And a lot of the time as I go through and build out the template, my classes aren't actually named very good, so I design it first, I go through that process, and then once it's done, I actually go through and rename the classes to be better suited to be easily understood. Another thing to keep in mind is you won't be able to add any custom code to templates. So everything in templates has to be just normal Webflow, everything in Webflow, but no custom code, so no thin suite filters or anything like that. How do I decide on animations? Good question, Abdul. I do a small amount of animations. I like light animations. There are some Webflow templates that are very heavy on animations. I think I like to keep in mind that I want it to be easy enough for the person who's actually editing it to be able to understand. So I would rather not go over the top on animations because that's more work for you, and it's also more work for the person using the template when they have to figure it out. In saying that, some kind of load-in animations are nice. Kind of hover effects are nice as well. I think the subtle stuff works quite well. So back into requirements for actually submitting the application. I saw that someone just submitted theirs today, which is great to hear. So you need 3 read-only links for Webflow projects. So that can either be client projects or templates. I'm pretty sure I had someone recently who just had 3 templates, and they just submitted those 3, and just based off of that, they actually got through and were able to post those templates live. And portfolio site, obviously good to have. Same with Behance Dribble, just showing off your design skills. And it's obviously with these templates, it's a balance of them looking great, them being creative, and also them actually being able to understand and break down and take apart when you're developing it inside of Webflow. So that is kind of what you'll need for the application. Yeah, so when you send your read-only links, it's probably that point in time to re-look over the websites that you're submitting. Make sure that nothing's broken, look on the different screen sizes, make sure that the naming conventions and the classes make sense and they're easy to understand, and that the websites are suited to the actual content or the kind of person who's going to use that website. So if you are doing a portfolio website, you want the regular ones, the about, the work, the contact. So all of the pages should fit the theme of the website. So if you're doing a template for a hospital, that's obviously going to look very different to one for a portfolio, and you'd want to do a decent amount of research looking at other hospital kind of live websites, for example, to see what are the actual pages that this kind of person or this organization uses, to make sure that it's actually fit for the use case. So that's an important part as well. And I've said in a previous video that you can either do templates that are quite generic, where there's a lot of different templates already there. So for example, portfolios, there's a lot of portfolio templates. So you have to be really creative, but those are the ones that get a lot of sales. Or you can be really niche and do it for like a pet walker, or these kind of niche websites that not many people are actually building for. So you'll be one of the only people who are actually who have made a template for them. So, have you already faced any trouble on template images, copyright, etc.? I haven't actually. Once I ran across someone else's template that was submitted, and it was live, and the images, the illustrations that they were using were gorgeous. And so I checked to see what the pack was, because if it was a free pack, I would have wanted it. And so I checked it out, and it was actually a paid pack. And the copyright claim for that pack was that you weren't allowed to distribute it in that way. And so I literally sent the person a message. I said like, hey, just letting you know the way that you've used the illustrations, I'm not actually sure if that is right for copyright. And he let me know that he actually didn't realize. So it is easy to get caught out. I get a lot from Unsplash. I use Unsplash all the time. There are also a couple of great illustration websites that do free packs that are free for this kind of these kind of projects, for selling digital projects. For the life of me, I can't remember what the websites are. ManyPixels is one of them actually. But if you go through templates that are already live and you see illustrations that are there, you can actually find the source of those illustrations through the actual licenses page on that template. So that'll give you a good idea the kind of websites that you can use to get free imagery, to get free illustrations and free icons to use across the website. Is there any stats about most brought templates? So as a template designer, you actually don't get a lot of stats. What you do get, hello Frank, hello Diogo. What you do get is you get either an email, or you can check in your account settings. You can see every single template sale that you have. And so certain template designers have set up a Zapier, so that each time there's a sale, it goes through to Airtable or to Google Docs, spreadsheets, Google Sheets. And then based off of that, they can see which templates are actually selling the most. So I have a lot of templates by this point, and it's kind of hard to keep up with. And I don't actually check my stats as much as I should. But I will say that portfolio templates, studio templates do seem to be the best sellers, but maybe it's just because the websites themselves, the templates that I've built are quite bright and kind of creative, so they're quite good sellers. So yeah, there isn't a huge amount of stats. Definitely keen for more stats down the road, but it's a little bit difficult to actually get connected up. As an aspiring, Bernice asks, as an inspiring template designer, do you recommend building a one-pager website first? Good question. I think something to keep in mind is that if you want to be a Webflow template designer, you kind of want to do it consistently. You want to do about one a month because the current payout scheme is that if you submit one a month, then you're going to be paid 80% of that template. And if you don't submit a template for that month, then you'll only be paid 60% of the payout for that month. So if it's something that you do want to be doing it kind of for in the indefinite future. So do I recommend building a one-pager website first? It might help. It definitely might help, especially to get a feel if it's something that you actually want to do for an ongoing basis. And obviously it is much faster to just start with a one-pager. Again, keep in mind, you're going to have to submit 3 links. So if you have client projects and you have the one-pager, then you can submit those 3. But if you have 0 client projects that you think are a good fit to submit, then you're going to have to do 3 templates or 3 websites or 3 examples of Webflow projects anyway. So there is a little bit of work to be done either way. One-pagers are definitely a good idea though. Cool. That's kind of the questions we have so far. Abdul asked earlier, what is my current kind of payout? I'm just going to find that again. Recent template sales stats. So when I first started, the first month was 1,000 USD for the first template, and now that I'm at 20 templates, it's about 4,500 USD, and I'm in New Zealand, so that's like 6,000 NZD, which is pretty good. But again, you have to keep in mind that to get a lot from it, you have to keep making them, because the most money that you'll make from the template is when it first comes out, because that's when it's actually on the template homepage. And then as it kind of falls off of that homepage, you get a little bit less sales. So it really does come from volume of actually doing the templates. How long do you usually spend getting your templates approved by the Webflow team before launching? So when I first started, the turnaround times weren't too bad. I think they were about 2 weeks, and that was last January. Now that there are a lot more Webflow template designers, the actual approval process is very quick, like usually within a week. But actually getting it live, because there's a backlog of templates that it has to actually go through before it goes live, I'll usually submit it, get it approved in about a week, and then about a month later it will actually go live. So there's a really long waiting time before it's actually live on the Webflow template site. So definitely good to keep in mind, and that's why this is something that I do alongside content and client work as well. How do you think about making components for component libraries like Reloom, for example? It's a really, really good idea. I have a template that's kind of based off of this idea. Let's get to it. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's a great idea. And the way that Reloom have done their template library, their component library, means that they don't need to sell it off of the Webflow templates, and that means they can charge whatever they want for it. And obviously they're doing the monthly reoccurring price, which is just brilliant. To be fair, it's really smart. But for example, the way that you would do a component library through the Webflow templates is it's called a UI kit. And so we can have a look at this one that I did. So this is the only UI kit that I've actually done for Webflow. And it's the same kind of thing. It's like these stackable sections. And there's a whole bunch of different ones. And so you have the navigations, you have the footers. And again, this is very simple to the Reloom library. Having those different options of things to go through, it takes a lot more time to make, but yeah, it is cool to have for people to be able to kind of drag and drop the different sections together. So yeah, in a way, I've already done a components library, but I am selling it through the Webflow templates system, and you can also sell it, as its own product, just like the Reloom library. There's another one called Systemflow doing the same thing, and they're selling a Figma template alongside that. And so Rock and Roll asks, as the client first naming convention is used, it may count getting accepted. Did I get that right? No. So the way that Webflow templates are done, they aren't actually using the client first system. The way that they're doing it is, so your class naming is flawless, follows correct spelling, and uses a logical naming system. That's bad grammar. So it's not using the client first naming convention. And so all of the little dashes and the underlines and stuff, that is, you won't be using those. It'll just be basically capitals with spaces in between, so just like an actual title, and you'll do that for every class. So it's actually very different to the client first system, quite different indeed. Cool. That is all for now. I was gonna keep building. Maybe we'll go onto the contact page or the journal, and we'll keep building. And again, I could build, or I could design each of these pages in Figma, but I usually only like to do 1 or 2 pages, and then just base the rest of the design around those pages. And that way, I think it saves a bit of time, and I do like to trial different layouts within Webflow. So I'll usually do a couple of pages in Figma, go straight into Webflow, and then build from there. I hope this lime color isn't too bright, actually. In terms of layouts that I use in my template, I use the 12 column grid a lot. Oh, sorry, the 12 column system. And I also use just regular grids. So if we go down here, these are the different columns, and those different columns fit together to make 12 columns. And then the different grid layouts as well. And I'll use a combination of those along with spaces to build out the different pages. Let me just, but let's jump back in to contact. Move that out of the 12 columns. And I'll update this placeholder text. Make that 40. Now is about the perfect time. I wish I had background music, and I don't have background music, so feel free to send through any other questions. Otherwise, feel free to just keep hanging out, and we'll keep building and see how far we get. But that was the bulk of what I wanted to get through. From now on, I'll just play around, try some different ideas. This is the old footer that I have. Kind of prefer this footer for this one. And so again, it's not gonna stay as new footer. I'm just using that for now as I play around. And then I'll change the names of everything and clean it up once it's actually fully done. and I need an image for this homepage. And so what I'll do is I'll pop back into Figma and I'll just take a screenshot, not that one, of, take a screenshot of maybe this one. And then back in Webflow, I will find that screenshot and import it. Look at these squiggly lines. What are my future plans? Well, my future plans for this stream is not a lot. My future plans in general is maybe do another course or two. There's kind of a couple of ideas that I have planned. I was maybe going to do a template course. I think maybe I might not do that. I think that I'd rather just kind of talk about this stuff in videos, and because I don't think there's a whole lot to teach. I think it's just more the design side that there's a lot to learn. And then other than that, more client work, more templates as I think of them, and a lot more content. I'm really enjoying doing the content. So let's call this home menu image. And Abdul, thank you for asking a bunch of questions, man. You were helping me out. What else do we have? More technical question. Is that possible to give different names for sections in the navigator and keep the same base class instead of section? Yes, you can. This is the way that I build websites. So I just do section, and then I'll usually add on top of it if there's a different size for the padding, if there's a different color, so if there's a light gray background, I'll add that class, and then I'll change the color of the background. But some people don't prefer doing it that way. Some people obviously prefer naming each section. That is totally fine as well. Just a matter of preference, so you can easily do that as well. Good question. How likely is it for new builder to get accepted as a template developer? Is there any other condition to have large portfolio other than the 3 projects we submit? I'm not too sure, actually. I don't really know how many people submit to become a Webflow template designer, and so I'm not too sure how many people get accepted and how likely it is. What I will say is that if you are doing Webflow part-time or full-time, and this is something that you want to be doing, then it might just be good to tinker around with in the background while you're doing client work or while you're finding client work, and then just submit. And then if you don't end up getting accepted, maybe just wait a couple of months and then submit your application again. The first time I submitted, I didn't get accepted, and that was I think middle of 2020, and then end of 2020, I submitted again, and they approved at that time, and so then I started building it I started releasing them January 2021. So is there any other conditions to have other than a large portfolio and have 3 projects? With the submission, you want it to be a good submission. So you want to kind of have a good looking portfolio if you can. If it helps, try and think in the perspective, like look at all of the templates that are currently available on Webflow templates and ask yourself, do the other templates that I'm making, do they fit in? Do they feel high quality? Is this the kind of thing that people would actually buy? And if all of those things are ticked, then you're obviously going to be a lot more likely. But sometimes you think you're going to get in and you don't, and that's okay. You just try again. What's your opinion on multi-language websites and how do you solve it so far, especially for complex sites with CMS? I haven't had to do a single multi-language website with a client so far, so I haven't had to worry about that. There is There's one that people use often. I can't remember the name of it. If someone remembers the one that I'm thinking of, they can put that in the chat. And I'm not even sure if that's a good solution, but there's definitely one that people use most often. I haven't had to do that. And obviously for templates, you aren't able to use any integrations or anything, so it's not something that you'll have to factor in when you're actually doing template work. Rock and Roll says, if client first is used, does it count against an application? So you just won't be able to use client first for Webflow templates. And I'm pretty sure that that's true and that hasn't changed since I've been doing it. But from what I'm aware, you'll have to keep things in this kind of style where you're saying, Weglot, that's it. You're saying each word with a capital letter, and that way it's easiest to read. But then in terms of the style that you actually do, so if you want to do the client first system, but you don't want to, but you're not using the way that the classes are actually named, then you can still use the client first system. How did you get those squiggly lines animated as an SVG? Usually they're Lottie animations. I'm going to do a tutorial on that very soon. It is both easy and not easy. I'm just literally going to upload the animated SVG as a file so that people can just download it and recolor it and add it and change the speed of it. So it's a great question, but it's probably not worth getting into right now. Celia asks, if the Webflow team disapprove our template, do they tell us why? I can't remember. I think they just say that it's not up to the standard or up to the quality of the rest of the templates. So that is all they say. I don't think they go into too much detail. So yeah, you kind of just have to think for yourself if something's broken, if it's just not fit for purpose. And fit for purpose is probably the biggest thing. If you have a template that's built really well, it looks great, and it's developed really well, but it's not fit for purpose, then it still won't get in. Abdul says that it took 32 days to get accepted for template memberships. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, so it can take a really long time, and if you submit, then it'll be about a month or two for them to get back to you and actually get signed up for the program. Frank says, I'm sure they will accept or even require client first soon, then I will do templates. Possibly. In fact, maybe they already are accepting client first. I'm just not too sure. I'm not too sure whether they would be or not. Either way, they probably wouldn't tell people to go back and have to update all of the previous templates, and they'd probably want to keep templates the same. They probably wouldn't want to change the way that templates are done. So we will see. Yeah, I'm curious to see whether they're going to update it to work with client first. I will say that client first is fantastic, but it's not for everyone. Someone who is doing a website or taking a template for their own business. So this is not a studio who is using templates to build other people's websites, but a sole business owner who is using a Webflow template to build out their website. They probably won't want to learn client first. Whereas if it's a studio, then it might make more sense to use client first and then either show clients how to use client first or do ongoing maintenance for them. So that could also be a big reason why. Client first is wonderful for studios and developers, but it's not fit for every single purpose. Struggling a little to fully comprehend the Lottie files, simple license, legal language. Are you allowed to use those free animations in templates? Anyone know? That's a good question. And there's also, if you go on different illustration websites, some of the licenses are very confusing. I've had to reach out a couple times just to ask, like, what does this actually mean? Can I actually use this or not? I don't know about Lottie files. If someone knows, then I'm pretty sure that's the website that we're talking about that has the free Lottie files. If someone knows, feel free to drop that in the chat. So good question. Okay. How are we doing for time? We're doing good for time. Where was I up to? I was adding the image to home. Change this one to be our home text. And we'll bring that up. Maybe not that much. Maybe about that much. And I might even make that an SVG so that it's a bit crisper when I actually finish it off. What do we want for an about page? Maybe we want a big thing of text in the middle. I'll grab a text box that I've used. I'll take that out. And I will make that smaller first. Make that 400. And then I'll center it. And I'll make that not a rich text, let's make that a paragraph. And maybe some italics. And maybe there's another one as well. So this is usually how I'll play around when building templates. So obviously a lot of trial and error. Let's pop that centered again. And then what else do we want on about page? We can do previous clients. I'm blanking right now. Maybe let's come back to that. Let's go back to our content. That's kind of simple. Let's try an outline for this one. That looks all right. Way, are you still using PX instead of rem? So, I mean, there's a lot of debate in the way that we can try and build this. I mean, there are so many different ways to build, but I try and use the way that is going to be easiest for someone who is not someone in a studio, who's not a developer, and who might be new to Webflow, who might not understand what REM is. But there is no one perfect way of building. You can easily do REM and there's no worries there. You just want to think of what's easiest for someone who might not be extremely familiar with Webflow, but the way that I'm doing it is not the way that you have to do it. You know, if we look through other templates and, you know what, let's do that. Let's do that. You know, I'm obviously taking forever on this one. Let's have a look at some other structures and different ways that we can set up templates. Because, you know, my way is not the only way. Let me just check in on these comments. When submitting sites during an application, if client first framework sites are accepted, I think that's probably fine if you're submitting projects that are using client first, but you wouldn't want to have all three using client first, because you want to show them that you actually can build in a kind of a simpler way for other people to be able to use. I'm pretty sure I submitted client projects that weren't using this style, so you can easily do that. Tell me why, for example, that you would have to improve on aesthetics or styling. Oh, cool. Bernice says they do tell you why, like, for example, they tell you if you have to improve on aesthetics or styling classes, etc. That is fantastic to know. Thank you, Bernice. Completely forgot about that. And Old Man asks, when you design the template, how do you think about the animation or do you design with the animation on your mind? I talked about that earlier. Light animations are good. Heavy animations I don't like because they're a little bit hard to actually use once you actually get in there. Some people are building templates where they animate individual pieces of type. So, I mean, let's look at one. Let's do the first one that we find, and let's look at the way that it's set up. Shout out to Denny. I hope I'm saying that right. And so let's have a look. So this, for example, I imagine this is for animation purposes. We've got a loader in there, so that's individually animating. This kind of thing is awesome, but very cool, very cool. So this is the kind of thing that's obviously going to be great for a studio to be able to use, but as someone who's never used Webflow before, they're going to see some of this stuff, they're going to see all of these page triggers, and it's probably going to be too much for someone like that. But I mean, that's just options in terms of how complex you actually want to make the template and how accessible you want to make the template. And so this is obviously an example of quite a complex one. Why I don't love this is I've started from these kind of templates before, and there's a lot of workarounds, there's a lot of figuring out how these little bits actually are set up inside of Webflow, and it can take a little bit of time to work around when I'm working on client projects and I kind of just want to get straight into it. Let's see what else they've done. But these animations are fantastic. This is going to be great for someone who's obviously already very familiar with Webflow. Good stuff there on that one. Florin asks, how do you brainstorm ideas for your next template? How do you generate ideas and decide? So I kind of had a look at that earlier. If I jump back into Figma, I wonder if that's going to work. I had a shortcut to move to Figma, but it's not working anymore. Anyway, move to Figma. I do a mood board of some sort, and obviously you kind of do the same mood board system for clients. And thank you guys for answering other questions in the chat as well. That is helpful. And so this is obviously just stuff pulled from Dribbble, from Typewolf is one that I go to quite often, from awards, sometimes from Pinterest, and I try and kind of go for a specific feel, as you would probably want to do. So for this one, whoever created this wonderful template, wow, it's me. For this one, obviously kind of a high-tech Webflow studio, and that's the kind of feel that I've used throughout that template. And I'm keeping in mind not just a studio, a generic design studio, but an actual web design studio. And in fact, this one's a Webflow design studio. So keeping in mind trying to be a bit more specific about the actual specific use case. And then if I look at some other ones that I've done, NFT drop, obviously, because NFT's massive right now still, so wanted to do one based off of that. If anyone is a template designer here right now, all I'm saying is if I search NFT, there's only 2 templates. So, you know, it's big. Keep it in mind. And so that one, for example, was just thinking of what people might want. And so NFT drop was for people who are releasing NFTs. And then with the NFTs, someone's also done a, this one is for an NFT artist. And this specifically is very clever, because if I search up NFT website template into Google, and I actually spell it right, then not far down is the NFT. I do have nice weather. Yeah, it's not bad today. Is the NFT portfolio one, and there is mine as well. So that is also thinking about SEO a lot, keeping SEO in mind for what people are searching for. So that is kind of how I'll come up with ideas. Illustrator, it's just a portfolio, but specifically for an illustrator. This is a blog for a tech website, and then a portfolio for a developer, etc., etc. And that is that. What else have we got? Have you ever got any client leads from templates, or maybe from template profile page? Yeah, probably a few. I mean, I will say, if a client sees that you make a $50 template, they're less likely to pay for a $5,000 project, because it's kind of they're kind of thinking cheap and fast rather than fully custom. But yeah, I definitely do get some clients through doing the templates. I've just realized, am I not even showing the right screen? I've been showing Figma this whole time. What am I doing, Gabrielle? Oh, what am I doing? All right, let's bring it back. All right, let me run through everything that I just said just then. Now that we're actually looking at the right one. So, NFT website template, if you search that up, because of SEO, the NFT templates are really high up on the actual Google search results. And so that's, for example, how you might think about what people are doing for that. And so again, let me do this all again since I wasn't even showing it. For NFT, there are only 2 templates. That's a good example of somewhere that makes sense to take advantage of. Thank you, Omkar and Gabrielle, for letting me know. Silly mistake. Florin said, sorry for not being specific. I meant ideas on the template type and category. Do you have ways to research supply versus demand? There's no super hard and fast ways to do that, other than keeping in mind that I can do a busy category like portfolios. That's one option, and there's already a lot there, so I have to be really creative if I want to do that. And so if I do, where is portfolio? There you are. If we do portfolio, you really have to try and stand out in some way, which is hard to do because there's so many. And then if we do, for example, something to do with pets, is always the example that I come back to because I have a dog. There is one for an animal shelter and a vet again, and pet insurance and a vet, but there's not one for dog walkers, for doggy daycare, for other examples that I can't think of right now. So those are the 2 kind of ways that I think about on an ongoing basis. Cool. So, Rock and Roll says, maybe I'll submit a Squarespace site from a few years ago. Do that. I would love to know what happens if you do that. And Kyle says, what simple template would you recommend for a UI designer? That is a good question. For a UI designer. So I did a dashboard template a while ago. It was one of the first templates that I did for a dashboard. So that's the kind of UI thing that we're talking about. And that is not a big seller for me. That took quite a while to do, and that's not something that people are buying very often. So if you're a UI designer, you can build a portfolio for yourself, and then build a portfolio template for someone who is similar to you, for for example, and would fit someone like you. Because I think it helps when you're being kind of more specific about the kind of person who's actually going to buy the template. Let me know that we're still good in chat. Want to make sure we're not dead. Want to make sure you can still see me and hear me. We've got 10 minutes left. If anyone else has any other burning questions, then I can run through that. And so, for example, fold folio is actually quite a generic template. It's just kind of it's just, you know, a portfolio template for a designer. But then if we keep in mind the kind of aesthetic that it actually has, it's not a generic aesthetic, it's quite a specific look, that kind of narrows down the kind of person that it's actually going to be made for. Let me check. We still good on chat? We're still good on chat, cool. Cool, do you think your templates are possible and easy to change to RTL languages? I am very uninformed. What is RTL languages? You'll have to let me know what that is, because I don't have a clue. Let's see what else we have here. So yeah, there are a lot of portfolio templates. There are a lot of studio templates. There are a lot of UI kits and kind of product marketing websites for like SaaS, for example. Those are the big kind of categories that a lot of people are searching for and a lot of people are building for, and that's obviously an option that you can go for. Let's look at another example, maybe one that's not a studio template. Let's look at, and let's see if we can find a client first. If we can find a client first, then all of our answers will be solved, which will be good to know. Right to left. Oh, okay. And so the question was, do you think your templates are possible and easy to change to RTL templates? I don't think so. I think if someone's going to do it for that use case, you might want to build around that. I've never designed around that kind of style because I haven't designed any website in a language other than English because I don't know any language other than English. So you'd probably want to make one specifically for Arabic, for example. Have you submitted a template that wasn't approved? When you submit a template, if there's something wrong with it, if there's issues, they literally just let you know what the issues are. And if it's too many issues, then they'll say, go back and fix it and come back to us. But I've never had that happen. They always come back and say, these are a couple of little things that you need to change. And then as soon as you change that, we are good to go. So as you can imagine, on my first template, there was a lot of changes that had to be done, a lot of things that I had wrong. And now for the past couple of templates, I haven't had any issues. Things have just gone straight through, which is handy. Florence said, I actually used one of your templates before finding your channel. It's a light green one with diamond SVGs. That's Emerald Kit. Yeah, thank you. Do you know how we can get published on Webflow official blog or maybe guest post? You can submit to them. There's a page to submit to them. I'm not sure how specific they are, and I'm not sure how frequently they post to their blog, so I'm not too sure. I've never tried actually, so that is a good question, maybe for another time. Let's have a look at this one. Let's try and find client first, and I don't think we're going to. And so again, these names are just using words with capital text. And if I go into here, call to action, small link, link wrap, and a foot nav, serif paragraph, text small. So it's a little bit more generic. I imagine if I go through other ones, it's going to be about the same. Let's try another one. Preview in Designer. Hey, here we go. Someone says that my client first template has been approved. Still waiting for Webflow to publish them, but you can't use everything from client first, and make sure you don't name your classes margin top or margin top. Yeah, exactly right. So you can use the style of client first, but you can't use dashes or underscores. It has to be full words with capitals in them. Thank you, Lars, for clarifying that. I appreciate that. Thank you, Crow, for stopping by. I appreciate it. Thank you, man. What do you think we should make specific Webflow templates homepage, like this Bryant one? Oh, what do you think about making specific Webflow templates homepage, like this Bryant template example? I don't think you need to do it. I think it's, even this one, I think it doesn't need to be done. I think it's just an extra page and more effort. But maybe people who make these will probably tell me that for this reason, that it gets more sales. So I personally don't do it, but maybe it's a good thing to be doing. And Lars also says you can't use custom code. Yes, exactly. But all these structures are still possible and get approved. Fantastic. Great to know. Less than 5 minutes left, 3 minutes left, I see. So thank you for stopping by. In terms of doing future streams, let me know if this was enjoyable. I enjoyed this. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it. In the future, I feel like it's going to be kind of boring if I just go and, you see me, watch me design some stuff. So instead, maybe I'll try and get some people on. I'll see if I can wrangle Connor on to talk about some stuff. And maybe I can get some people to chat through Webflow. Yeah, maybe that's what we can do for the future. Either way, hope you guys are liking my videos if you're watching them, and do let me know any feedback if there's specific things that I do that you find annoying, or if you want me to focus on a more specific thing or a less specific thing or more Figma. Do let me know. Any feedback is really helpful. Thank you guys for tuning in. 2 more minutes. I'm probably going to go on a walk afterwards. I hope everyone has a good rest of their Thursday. I'm time traveled in the future, so I'm going to have a good rest of my Friday. Some people still seem to be chatting in the chat, which I appreciate seeing, so feel free to keep chatting. And I'm going to jump off and make another coffee. I am absolutely just rambling now, so I'm going to stop. Thank you for stopping by.